We are live. I figured I'm just gonna go and try to vent whatever I went through just the last 3-4 hours, because it was expanding. It was intense, actually, so I'm not sure how to even start this. I'm just gonna go and do my thing while I'm settling into the new mode, basically. I'm just gonna go in and let's see. I'm currently writing what I'm trying to think, so that I have something to go from. It was a very interesting experience. There we go. I don't know why I called it before the Antechamber, to be honest, but it feels like something is happening tomorrow, and it is a Antechamber Tuesday, so there's a lot of things happening at once. That's been really weird these days, because a lot of things are happening at once, and somehow there is a very intense calm in all of it. I've actually had a few moments where I felt like I should do something. And then something else came and said, well, do you really have to do that? It's been fascinating. And then today, my heirs basically left the mountain. So I've been preparing today for tonight, which kind of marks the beginning of the week, which is work week. And always when I do that, I tend to find things that just recenters me and makes me more aligned, I guess, to sit down and focus and just work and do the things that I can't do when the heirs are around, basically. So I saw Joe Rogan with Terrence Wallace. I did not know who that was, to be honest. When I saw his face, I was like, he seems familiar. And then he mentioned that he had a role in Marvel, Iron Man, I think, and a bunch of other things. So he's a very famous actor, and he's really good, actually. But for some reason, I did not know his name. And then he dropped what he had to say, which kind of blew my mind, to be honest. I think it's going to be a very interesting thing to see how that lands with people. Because that was 3 hours of just pure, I don't know what to call it. The traffic up here is insane. 3 hours of just constant channeling of something that he has known forever. I was kind of taken aback. A lot. So I'm kind of allowing it to settle, as so many other things this week. And there's been this burning. I had a purge a few days ago, and that burning was it was kind of a pre-release. It was like a pre-trip. It was just a little bit of releasing some pressure until it's balanced enough to come out as it should. And I don't think it's ready yet, but it's getting there. So yeah. I had so many things over the span of these years that I wanted to share that just didn't feel ready to share. It kind of makes sense now why. If you haven't seen the episode, I highly recommend you go check that out. Also, before we get really into this, I want to see if there's any sound. There is. I can't wait to have this thing with me on an actual adventure. Sitting around the campfire. Could do that now too, to be honest. But I haven't made the fire. And I haven't prepared. So I don't think the signal is gonna be working from the fire, to be honest. Every single time I've had people here, I'm like, we should test it by the fire. And every time we have not tested it by the fire. Felt like I had to say that sentence again because I butchered it the first time. Just sitting by the fire, you know? The things that have been spoken around that fire blows my mind. I always wondered what would it be like to have this connection present, even though I didn't have visitors physically. How cool could we make that? And I think we can make it pretty cool. Just have to do some stuff first. Which is probably what I'm going to do this week. And I'm kind of looking forward to see what kind of an effect the last 3 hours will have on how I approach the week. Because I think it changed a lot. Probably everything. Which is a weird thing to say. It's Monday today, so I guess it's a good thing to set the intention for the week. And kind of a recap last week. Because yesterday, or 2 days ago, just became too much. Like, the thoughts in my head, they became too much. I had to just talk them out. Which made me realize that it is good to talk it out. Which has been really present in how I've been dealing with the kids this week. Because, kids will come to a point where they just don't bother. They just don't bother trying to share the truth or the full spectrum of how they feel in a situation or whatever, because they feel like, what's the point? So I've been noticing these patterns in my kids, where they're kind of getting shorter and shorter in terms of what they have time to say. And this week we really talked it out. It was a really good week. I have a deer showing me its butt just a few meters from here. I'm planning on bringing people up here, which is another thing that kind of became apparent during the week. Because what happens here with the calm and everything, the energy and everything, it just allows for more exploration. Can't complain about the weather though. It has been a helping factor. But this week has been so eventful, it's hard to put into words. After the amazing moments with my kids, whom, by the way, for the first time today or yesterday evening, was introduced to AI. That was also interesting to see, how do you communicate? What do you want to have communicated back to you? That tool is going to be interesting to see how it affects everything. And then leading into realizations that just allowed is the wrong word to use. Realizations that prompted me to go into something that had been keeping me back for a long time. One of a few, because there's a lot of things happening at once, and trying to prioritize in order to find that one current kind of has been challenging. So this one was kind of not relevant. It didn't have to rummage around my brain anymore. So talking about it and how the entire week has been affected by it allowed me to release it, so that more things could kind of find its flow in it. Those are powerful situations. After that purge, new thoughts and new calm and new clarity, alongside a lot of other challenges that I really didn't prioritize at the moment, came into my life just through the last few days. And here I am, trying to vent it out a little bit before Antechamber tomorrow. It's kind of like a ritual at this point, where you kind of prepare for this whole soul journey almost, or talking on that level where you can just ride the wave. It's interesting how that works. But now, in going into that whole ritual of recentering yourself, or whatever you want to call it, my Monday tradition, I found this podcast that just shook my reality. It makes me wonder if everyone sees that, or if they don't. Like, is it... I don't know how to explain it. How much friction will come from that knowledge coming into the world, basically. Because we've all felt that whole change, right? A different frequency compared to what it was before. And everyone is going through some sort of a period where they feel like a change is coming, or something is happening, and there's a raising in the frequencies, or whatever you want to call it. It's like we're picking up on how the world is about to change in such a massive scale. And I just thought it was about the AI and quantum computing. And metaphysical, multidimensional, initiated dragon shamans of the north. Or other basic things, it seems, at this point. Because how often can you say that everything you've been taught is logically a lie. Like, it's not about the betrayal anymore. It's not about the fact that you might have thought something and then you are ashamed of yourself, or you feel betrayed by others to have led you down a straight path for your entire life. It's more than that. It's like, yeah, I guess I should act upon it. Like, I guess I should contribute to this. And so in this case, it's basically disproving math, planets, gravity, the periodic table, propulsion, emotions, transformation, the universe, the scale of the universe, the traveling of planets and planetary systems. It's so much bigger than what you would kind of expect a podcast to do. And I've already seen so many reactions to it. People going in and kind of taking out a fraction of the podcast and then attacking it. Like a word, a sentence. And then almost judging everything by that. And the fact that it happened very early on says a lot. But what he had to share throughout the end, after going through all these mathematical equations and frequencies and all those universal truths, you know, that's where the gold was at the end, which turned out to just be a tiny, tiny beginning, because it was literally his portal into that whole getting it to the people thing. People had been ignoring Terrence Wallace throughout everything because he's an actor, because people know him as an actor. They've been completely disregarding his entire theory or proof of a different kind of understanding of the universe as we know it. I mean, of course, it's kind of a huge claim. So I can understand the people who have been devoting their entire existence to this and then just being told in a logical way that they see, based on the math, that shit, this is actually true. But if I say that this is true, if I acknowledge it, it's going to hurt so many different other systems and industries and economies and my funding that I can't say anything about it. I have to attack it. It's like one of those damn moments. No idea how that's going to impact everything. And it's just one of many. That blows my mind. Because I don't know about you. This year has been intense. All these different new understandings and perspectives of the universe, all seeming to be one part of a whole, and everyone kind of claiming sovereignty in itself as a modality, instead of removing the entire modality and seeing it as a whole, as above, so below. This is going to take some time to settle. But Terrence Wallace? Yeah, go you. Damn. It also goes into the whole metaphysical cathedral kind of explanation that I've seen in different other practices. Wow, so many thoughts at the same time here. It's kind of overwhelming. You know how we talked about internal VR? And how it kind of made so much sense? It turns out that Terrence Wallace saw something when he was very, very young, and he has now 97 patents, and one of them is the AR/VR technology. But we knew him as an actor. So many patents. So many industries that he has shifted without us even knowing. Like, they don't talk about that. Don't talk about the whole gravity situation. And it seems like the problems we are facing right now is not necessarily because people are binary, is that they're both. Like, he argues that math follows a linear progression, a straight line. Nature doesn't make straight lines, it makes curves, frequencies, waves, rhythms. And he has physically kind of presented it visually and proven it based on everything that he has done and everything that he is about to do and everything that he's been trying to do but hasn't been heard. All the things. And some people are trying to push that whole linear, straight, angled, human-made explanation onto a model that doesn't comply. So they are creating these new experiences or these new definitions of why it should be so. Blew my mind. I have too much to think about. Because it affects everything again. And that makes you wonder, how often is that going to happen? How often is a single piece of knowledge going to come in so hard that it's just going to allow you to remember a whole bunch of things and seeing things in a completely different light? And if it does, is it just an afterglow? Is it just an instant? Or what will happen through your life based on this realization? Because if you learn something so profoundly that you're basically changing everything about you and how you do things, your entire timeline is changed. Everything is changed from that moment. So what does that look like? Makes you wonder. This is quite nice, isn't it? It's quiet. It's energetically aligned. It's spacious. You know, I'm planning on having people up here, but I want to build a cabin for them. Because you haven't been able to see the back of this camera, the view. Yeah, actually you did. I posted it today. But this place, and places like it, that snaps you out of the whole hustle bustle A to B society, that allows you to think fresh, get new perspectives. It's beyond. It's beyond. God damn, I already spoke for 23 minutes. I talked about having a meaningful conversation deficit. It's when you don't get to share what you're thinking about. Or to learn it. You know, teach it, learn it twice. And it just gets put into this loop. And I don't know about you, but I feel that loop. Like when I have this need to get that out, my life transforms because it's not taking up room anymore. It's out there. Quite powerful. Should we set the intention for the week, now that we've gone through the last week, up until the moment right before I turned on the camera? Today I've been notified, told, shared, presented a very viable solution to everything that has been going on for so long. For many months, to be honest, and my entire week is and seems to be pushed towards, aligned on that purpose, to fix that thing. that one thing that was the negative, the vacuum, the thing that has been created that fixes all other things. It's weird talking like this, because I can't be sure until it's happened, and for every time this feeling has occurred, things that I can't really put into perspective has happened. It's going to be interesting to see where it goes this time. Oh. I was also told about my horse. I just said my horse. He's not my horse. You know, I have this neighbor, right? This horse that has been a part of this adventure since day one, and he was mentioned a week ago from someone who has never seen him, and he was explained just as he is. Makes you wonder. So I look forward to see what happens to him, that he can get some alleviation. I look forward to see how he will evolve. Which makes me remember the fact that I just found out that we have a frickin' amphibious pond on the property. That was interesting. I don't know if that came over to the camera, but there was an interference there that was different. Well, didn't happen on the live. Sometimes technology acts weird. And today I feel like I had that confirmed. The fact that sometimes it acts weird simply because of the frequencies, or sometimes it acts weird because other people are interfering with it. You know? Because right now a lot of things exist in this node network controlled by other people, and they can do things because of that control. Yeah, I'm thinking about the context. Terrence Wallace was sitting on Joe Rogan and trying to figure out how to share the things that he had brought with him. The proof, the visuals, the things that made it a lot easier to understand what he was talking about, that he had prepared. And every time they tried to take it on to the stream, technology kind of just flunked. Makes you wonder. Makes you wonder. Squirrely Dan, Letterkenny, you have to check it out. Life changing. Stupid and life changing. I wonder, should I get a coffee? It's not like I've already had like 4 cups. But I feel like I want to have a coffee. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to do a very live intermission effect. Right? Should have had a banner or something physical, like just a card or a sign or whatever that said "be right back," but I don't. So I'm going to just turn on the... That's so interesting. Yeah, so I learned a few things right now. I can't turn the lens to make it blurry, because if I do, the camera will turn off the stream, and I will be just leaving the viewers with a blank screen or a black screen or whatever that looked like for you. But then if I turn it back and then just hit record again, I'm on to the same stream. So I wonder how that looks from the other side. Like, if I review this video now, is there just going to be a little pause between bep bep? Because that might actually have some hidden benefits. I'm going to get some coffee. I'll be back. just remembered something. Oh. There are so many things that is possible, but just this location right now, it's kind of overwhelming. I've been fantasizing about how it would be to have a laptop that is able to do the things that I want to do there. Where I can use this camera as a webcam, right? And then having the same things happen on the stream as I can inside of the office. And I haven't been able so far because of not knowing how, and also the whole technical equipment needing to be in place. But now, with all this, it's going to be a new time. I've tried a lot of things when it comes to the music, when it comes to the sounds, just to see what works, right? And I don't know how it sounds on this, so I have to test it out in order to find out. I always have this with me as well as a prop. So I'm thinking, as I'm sitting here, right now it's kind of covered in dust because it's really dry, and every time a car passes this house there is a small dust storm or sandstorm coming in. So it doesn't take long until it's just... But to prepare, there are so many things that I can just put up here and have an epic experience live and just see how that works. It's just 8 p.m. so who knows, maybe we'll do that today. Could also have people on here probably, but me and my perfectionism, it wouldn't sound good on the stream, so I usually don't, which is stupid. This is so much better than The Office. I'm gonna do some marketing, some stealth marketing. Cleaning up the zine a little bit. There we go. I've been taking some moment pictures today. It's been nice. It's been really nice. But I see that we can make that even better. With the delay. I just wait for that to happen there. It's interesting. It kind of plays into the whole thing then, that things are created as it's created. You don't have to do much more than that, just doing it, and then it's created, and then, yeah, it's fun. Let's talk about stuff. That's as specific as I want to go. No, talking about it. No. I'm happy with that. Just got started on work week and went live for some reason. There we go. Who knows how long this is going to take? Like, am I going to sit here into the night? I don't know. Oh, I have to talk about this, the practicals. Let's see. I can probably do that intermittently. I'm wondering how much is going to change now because of the frequencies. Because I have a lot of people around me who's dealing with frequencies who are kind of speaking a language I don't understand yet. But seeing that things are really moving towards the understanding of that, it's going to be interesting. I'll have to respond to that in a mo. I've also been discovering or exploring boundaries this week. Like large ones. And seeing how people react when you put down boundaries. It's been interesting. Sometimes it's kind of weird to look straight at the moon when it's so light outside. That was a tangent. My thoughts just ran away from you for a little bit. It's kind of weird because on Friday, this week seemed to be a very filled week with a lot of stress. But now, everything is clearing up for that not to be the case. Kind of allowing that feeling, kind of accepting that calm. It's kind of a weird feeling. Fill it out with the choose your own adventure as we discussed. I'm creating application questions in doc input. Welcome. Awesome. Kind of case in point. The things needed are being created. And how funny is it that they are being presented exactly when they need to? Step by step. This started with a 3. From a marketing perspective, there's more, but a good amount to chew on from now. Actually, it's not a lot to chew on. It's like the frame is there. How to use the frame in the best way. That's where it gets tricky. That's where it gets tricky because there is no real frame, right? And that is also kind of what got discussed in that episode, where there's no frame, yet there is a frame. You're back. It is the most humongous wasp I've ever seen in my life. And it was here earlier as well. And my partner is not really fond of them. So I stood up. It was flying just underneath the canopy, and I smacked it. And this is one of those huge bugs that when you smack it, you feel it, and you hear it, and you see where it goes. You know? And it flew like 3 meters into the bush. And I heard the swap, I heard the landing, and then silence. And that's where I felt kind of bad for hitting this creature that just came in to say hello. I'm guessing you just heard it. I'm hoping it's the same thing. Because if there are 2 of them, that is a statistic proof that I'm looking at a bunch more of them this year. Because if that thing is not special in some way, that it is just the standard size of the wasp this year, I don't really know how to feel about that. There was this incident with a wasp nest the day of the Metropolitan Genocide. I don't know how to explain it. We had a wasp problem a few years ago. So I can hear this constant buzzing. And outside we saw that there was this highway, wasps going in and out of this tiny hole above the window to my bedroom. And there were so many of them. I was like, shit, there is a hive in there. And I don't like the fact that there is a hive in there, because it was kind of affecting my entire being. My family was not fond of them being all over the place. There was a lot of wasps. They were everywhere, so I figured, what happens if we go up there and we spray the hole with permatrine? I'm not sure if that is the correct name for it in the US or in English, but I sprayed the fuck out of that hole. And of course, as you would suspect, these creatures wanted to, defend themselves. So they swarmed. Knowing that this is going to be a pretty epic scene, my partner videotaped it. Well, she was still outside of the car. As I was doing it, as I was kind of almost falling, half climbing, half falling down the steps, the ladder, I was stung, and it was like being hit by a gun in the back. I saw the emotion, the reaction, everything. This tiny creature stung me, and it was like being hit by a fucking bullet. I was like, ah! Alright, I flick off my t-shirt because I could feel them all over in there. Flick it off and toss it out, I think, or I just scramble. I don't know. It's kind of blank from the middle of the ladder until a few seconds after reaching the ground. But I ran into the car and I said, "Get into the car!" Right? She did as well. And all these wasps were like hitting the window trying to get in. And I was like, shit. That has to be the worst day in their life. Told the kids to stay in-house. Do not come out. Do not cross the boundary of that corner. Do not enter this area. And they respected that. They saw all these wasps all over the place. And after a while, it calmed down and I went inside. And in my son's bedroom, there's this hole up to the attic. This is an old house. So you're climbing. You're literally climbing into the attic. I was using a few chairs and stuff to stand up on top of it to get in. And as I was going over these beams and all the things that was just stuffed from the hole, so it was kind of creating this natural barricade right after getting into the attic, I get to this clearing and I see down the one side of the roof over my bedroom this thing that was more natural than the straight lines the house was built in. Just stuck out. One of these things is not like the other kind of way. It was the biggest hive that I've ever seen in my life. Easily close to two meters in diameter. Like you're watching this from afar and it's like, that's a fucking metropolitan city. That's a capital right there. That's a hub of their species. You know, this was huge. And they were shaken because I see the hole that was right on top of it, and just a few minutes, maybe an hour, I'm not sure, but the time frame here, there had been a deadly gas coming in through this hole. And so everyone was kind of coming to grips with it. It was like, the aliens are coming, or, you know, the Earth is about to explode, or there's a comet and it's coming really fast. Something huge and apocalyptic happened, and they were kind of getting their grips. And so I see on the floor, and I have this on tape somewhere, all of these wasps coming towards me. And I just sprayed it, like, fuck! Right? I had no idea about removing or moving a wasp nest. I had no idea. This whole feeling bad about it came shortly after the incident. But I had no idea what I was getting into. So I was standing there and I was just spraying for the dear life, thinking I was doing a good job. I tried to get it up top, tried to get the gas everywhere. It was a horrible, horrible, horrible situation to be in for all sides. And then I hear it. Hearing is actually not the right term for this. Then I feel it. This deep rumbling sound of millions of warriors just getting ready to battle. It was like the entire freaking hive was vibrating at the same time. And I just didn't feel safe anymore. I was like, alright. I get the point. So I went. I left. I closed the door. I went down. I was like, I can't believe what I'm about to show you on camera. So I had hope after that the problem was gone. I have no idea how it played out, like, internally. But I know that I never removed the hive. It's still there. Probably still millions of corpses lying on the floor up there, looking like the aftermath of a Tolkien war. And it was just mayhem and destruction and apocalyptic times. But who knows? Maybe they got their queen out and maybe they just moved because they figured, you know, they're not as evolved as we hoped. We have to leave. The fucking house is still there. And the wasps this year seem to be of considerable size. It's going to be an interesting adventure, to be honest. Can you believe the traffic? There's been so much traffic going on this day. Also, I'm doing something after a powerful session. I'm able to quick call it if needed. Oh shit, yeah. It's so interesting to see. Hold on. Okay. It's so interesting to see how you don't have to force anything. It's going to come. It's going to happen, you know. Whatever happens to happen will happen. And so just letting it happen. And then seeing it happen. And then responding to it happening. It's such an interesting thing. I know, that was out of context, but it was just me thinking out loud because there's a lot of things going on at the same time. I was actually going to talk about something today as well. The plan was to get into it. Kinda. This little baby. You remember me seeing, or I showed this on a stream. I showed this on a video. It's the first iteration, the first piece of a larger game, and it's going to be introduced very soon, but in its full embodiment, if it makes sense. I can't wait to show everything that we have to show now. Guess that works. So much is happening, and it happens so quickly that it's hard to keep up. At the same time, you just have to surrender and knowing that it has happened. It's happening. Just respond. Allow thoughts to become things and just see the ripples coming together. For some reason, he just stepped straight through the bushes. There has to be a reason for that, right? I think I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to answer a few people. This was a good thought purge, basically. And I look forward to see where this goes. Especially this place. Like, right, this place that I'm sitting at right now. Because there are so many things that I can do with it. That it's just going to be interesting to see if it actually does what I feel is going to do. I know. That was kind of vague intentionally, but all of the things that we are doing is basically just creating the air and the plane in the air, and everything has happened perfectly as it should just by doing it. I'm going to continue to do it. There's no real reason to not do it. You know? So I look forward to the next time. Tomorrow, actually. Antechamber. May you have a fantastic day.